Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Jimmy Kolb here. One of our slogans is train how you compete. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and talk about that. There are two halves to my competitive career. We have the early part where I was a teenager getting into my early 20s. I took a break from competing, which is where I went off and joined the Marines. Then you have the second half, which is current. Back into competing about 29 years old or so, maybe 28, right in the middle of my enlistment in the Marines. And one thing we really figured out this second half of my competitive career was train how you compete. Now, back when I was, again, younger, in my teens, early 20s, I trained a lot and I competed a lot. We were fairly spoiled in Ohio. I could compete every single weekend if I wanted to. I call Ohio the heartbeat of powerlifting, not only because Ohio itself kind of looks like a heart, but that's where you have all the major, most famous gyms in the world. You have Westside Barbell, Elite FTS, Laura Phelps's, the Hive, Lexington Extreme, the Doghouse. You have so many major, big powerlifting gyms in Ohio. So again, I competed a lot during those times. I made a lot of mistakes growing up in the sport, and I made a lot of mistakes in the few weeks prior to a competition, especially 1 week out, 2 weeks out. Made a lot of mistakes. And the idea was, and what a lot of the guys around me would do was the week of the meet, 2 weeks out, they would start to kind of, because there's a meet coming up, they would change their training. They kind of go a little more lax in the gym, being a little more conservative to save it for the platform. So I did that exact same thing. I copied that, and I would take it easy. My training intensity would come way down. My reps would come way down. The idea being you don't want to burn yourself out in the gym leading up to a big competition, because that's what matters. We don't compete in the gym, we compete on the platform. And at a lot of meets that I can recollect, I fell very flat. I would feel empty. For some reason, I felt very ill prepared for the competition. Some of that you could attribute to loading up on water and Gatorade, which is really not what you want to be loading up on, because that's just going to cause you to piss out everything you're trying to retain. But besides that, a lot of it was just this ill preparedness. If I went in that entire week prior, it was like the last day we would go in to train for a meet that's on Saturday would be like Tuesday. And I'd go in and I'd bench 135 for 2 sets of 5 and do 20 pounds on the lat pull down machine and a couple of curls and leave, and then take the rest of the week off. Really throwing quite a heavy-duty wrench into my training routine. And the last thing my body remembers doing was going through that very, very mediocre, lightweight workout. I got my first successful competitive lift out after my hiatus from competing in March of 2020, where I hit my first 1,000-pound bench, which was 1035 at 273. And being a little older and wiser, kind of thinking about things a little more methodically, me and my wife Katie started to say, train how you compete. I train heavy pretty much year-round. I don't periodize. I don't cycle in 12 weeks to peak. I've never trained like that. I just train heavy year-round. And that's what works for me, as long as my body is kept in check, is healthy, my CNS is recovering properly. I just train heavy all the time. I do not do speed work. I hate bands. I'll do chains once in a while. I don't like the West Side conjugate method. I just like to lift heavy. And I'm in the gym 5 days a week. I tend to be a creature of habit. What has screwed me up in the past is taking days off. So if I'm like, oh, I've got a really big bench workout coming, I want to hit a really big number on Saturday, I'm going to take Thursday off. And just taking that one extra day off, that's very, very, not a habit, would actually screw me up for Saturday. Nothing felt right. So when it comes to competing now, I'd say between 80 and 90% of the time, it's a one-day meet and it is on Saturday. So what do? The previous weekend, I hit heavy weights. I go in on Sunday. Right now I'm doing deadlift and forearms. And even though it's a week of a meet, a big, important competition where it actually matters, I'm getting on the platform to get numbers posted, I will still be in the gym Tuesday hitting my back work, Wednesday for my secondary bench day, and Thursday for what I call my random shit day, because that's what's normal. That is what is routine for me. The last thing I want to remember, what my body wants to remember before going into a meet to lift really heavy weights, is lifting heavy weights in the gym. I want to feel heavy weight. I want to feel strong, feel the strain. That is what's normal. That's the first really big part of our slogan. Again, train how you compete. What I do in the gym, how we act in the gym as a as a couple or as a group, we do the exact same thing at a competition. If you've seen me compete or been around me competing, and we have a group of friends where we're laughing, we're cracking jokes, we're having a fun time. I enjoy what we do. But we're in the gym, that's how we act. We're serious when we need to be serious. We're also having fun doing it. So when we go to the competition, we have to have that exact same mindset. What has also messed me up in the past is training a certain way, behaving a certain way, and being very, very successful in the gym, hitting PRs, seeing progress, trackable progress over weeks and months. And then you get to the competition and everything changes. Now you have to put on a serious face and it's all business. It's no fun, and you have to be intense and you have to change everything. And that is just like, I don't train that way. Why would I compete that way? I like to give the analogy, if you did one meet per year and you trained the entire year, super heavy, super intense, seeing progress, making PRs, having a good time doing it, and you train the exact same way, I mean, plus or minus, of course, variations and avoiding the law of accommodation, but you train the exact same way all year round with huge success. You have that one meet that comes up per year and you change everything. I myself am not a super intense lifter. Inside me, I'm ready. I joke around and have fun, but when it's time to be serious, I will get serious. I don't need to have any kind of outward shows display of intensity or strength or anything. I think that's a little over the top. Did that when I was younger too. I would walk up to the bench and I'd take hits of ammonia and get smacked around a lot and start and scream and yell. And by the time I laid down the bench, I was whooped. I was worn out. I wasted so much energy in a display of intensity. Because again, this is the earlier part of my career. I didn't train that way, but when it came time to compete, then it was like I flipped the switch. I hear that all the time. I had to flip a switch and become a different person. It's like, I want to be the person who is successful all the time in my training. I want to be that guy on the platform. I want to keep that switch right where it needs to be and not flip it to something else. So not a super long video today, but again, train how you compete, find out what makes you successful, copy that, go into the competition with the same mindset, same attitude, same diet, same liquids, same everything, and just whatever makes you successful in the gym, makes you happy, you need to do the exact same thing at the competition so that you are successful. So that should wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content from me, hit the subscribe button as well. I really appreciate that. Until next time, stay strong.